I am working as a pharmacist and my husband is a public servant. It may sound strange to say this myself, but both of us have had relatively high incomes since we got married, so we are living a stable life. Moreover, we are blessed with 2 children, a daughter and a son, who have been growing up well. My daughter is still a university student, but my son has already become a working member of society and has joined a small or medium-sized enterprise after graduating from college. Since my son is satisfied with his current situation, I am relieved as a parent. My daughter has also been doing well so far, as she was able to enroll in the nursing department of a university. One day, my son said to me,
"Actually, I have someone I'm dating and I want to get married. I'll introduce her to you next Sunday."
I was surprised to hear that he had been dating someone with the intention of getting married. However, since my son is 25 years old, it may be natural for him to think about marriage. On Sunday, he brought the woman he was dating. She was a bright young woman who was still only 22 years old. When I was thinking about such things, the woman said to me and my husband,
"I am seriously dating your son, so please approve of our marriage."
Since both of them seem to be seriously dating each other and the woman has good manners, my husband and I approved of their marriage. After the wedding ceremony, my son left home. I was full of hope that he and his wife would live happily ever after. My son also said at the end,
"Don't worry, I'll be happy."
So I decided to believe him. After that, I occasionally visited my son and his wife's house, and we had dinner together about once a month to maintain good communication. I thought that would improve the relationship with my daughter-in-law. Time passed, and it was half a year after my son got married. I thought about having dinner with my son and his wife again, so I called my daughter-in-law. However, there was no response. I called her several times, but she didn't answer the phone. I thought it was strange, so I called my son, but he didn't answer the phone either. I thought he might be at work, so I called again at night, but there was no answer. I told my husband about this, but we had no idea what was going on. I thought something was wrong, so I went to my son and daughter-in-law's house on Sunday. Since my son had a day off on Sunday and had been at home most of the time, I wanted to talk to him directly. However, no one answered the intercom. A week passed without knowing the cause. While living in anxiety, I suddenly received a call from my daughter-in-law. I called and even went to your house many times. What happened? I asked. Then, the daughter-in-law said unexpectedly,
"Nothing happened. You were just too annoying, so I decided to call you directly this time."
Am I annoying? I don't understand what she means. Furthermore, the daughter-in-law said,
"I don't like to socialize with my in-laws. I've been patient with you and others, but it's become too much. I'm sorry, but we want to live our lives freely, so please don't contact us anymore."
I never thought my daughter-in-law would think that way. So I said, "Is my son doing well? Does he agree with you?" Then, my daughter-in-law provocatively replied,
"Of course he agrees. He loves me so much that he listened to my request. So even if you call, he won't answer. That's my instruction."
Then, she hung up. I was not convinced and called again, but she refused to answer my call. The shocking events did not end there. It happened a year later. During that year, I didn't even contact my son and daughter-in-law, and I didn't know if they were alive or not. One day, I received a letter and a photo from my daughter-in-law. The photo showed her holding a baby. In the letter, she wrote,
"I gave birth to a baby. He's so cute. I'm letting you know, but we don't plan to meet. We've also moved. Take care."
It's great that I have a grandchild, but it's too cruel that I can't see him. Moreover, I don't know where they live because they moved. I might be able to find out if I go to my son's workplace, but I can't do that anymore. I might be blamed by my daughter-in-law later, and the relationship might get worse. I have been looking forward to my grandchild since my son's marriage. It was such a painful report that when I told my husband and daughter about it, my husband said,
"That's too much."
And he seemed to be mixed with sadness and anger. My daughter said,
"It's such a terrible story. What is my brother thinking? I don't want to talk to him anymore."
My daughter was more angry than my husband. A few days later, I happened to see my son while shopping. He was wearing casual clothes, so he must have had the day off. I ran up to him and said in a slightly angry tone, "Why haven't you contacted us? Is it because of your wife's instructions? Your father and sister are also very angry with you." My son replied,
It can't be helped. My wife wants it that way. Besides, I love my wife and want to be happy.
Even my son said something cold. Furthermore, my son said lightly,
I showed you a picture of the baby, didn't I? It's good that you got to see your grandchild.
I felt like I was meeting a different person from my son before he got married, and I was very sad. I met my son, who was like a different person, and became even more sad. I lost my appetite for a few days, but I managed to keep working. Several years passed without any contact with my son and daughter-in-law. My daughter graduated from school and found a job, working hard as a member of society. However, my husband fell ill. He was diagnosed with a terminal illness and given only 6 months to live. Everything seemed dark. Sad things kept happening. With my son and daughter-in-law and my husband's illness, when I was feeling helpless, my husband said to me,
I want to give you and our daughter my assets while I'm still alive.
My husband couldn't forgive my son and daughter-in-law and had effectively disowned them. However, if he passed away with his assets still in his possession, he would have to divide them with my son according to the law, which he wanted to avoid at all costs. So he chose to make a gift of his assets while he was still alive. Despite his illness, my husband took care of all the procedures himself. I was moved by his thoughtfulness and kindness. And so, my daughter and I received his assets, which represented his feelings. We fought hard against the disease and received treatment, but unfortunately, my husband passed away. I was hesitant to tell my son and daughter-in-law about my husband's passing, but I felt that I had to. One day, I went to the company where my son worked to see him for the first time in a long time. When I saw him, I said, I came to tell you that your father passed away. He was sick. I thought I should tell you. My son replied coldly.
What did you come here for?
I told him. That's all. I just wanted to let you know. And left immediately. However, an unexpected development occurred from here. A few days later, my daughter-in-law came to my house. It was sudden, and my daughter said to her in an angry tone,
What are you doing here?
Then, my daughter-in-law said,
I heard that your father passed away. I came to talk about the inheritance. My husband is the eldest son of this family, so he has the right to receive the inheritance, doesn't he?
She had done whatever she wanted until now and hadn't even shown me my grandchild. Yet, she was trying to take my husband's property. She was really a selfish person. I told her. Of course, you too, but my son won't receive any of it. My husband made a gift of his assets to me and my daughter while he was alive. My daughter-in-law looked confused for a moment, but then she regained her composure and said,
What do you mean?
In a loud voice. I showed her the documents from when the gift was made and my husband's bank book. The balance in the bank book was $6.5. My daughter-in-law finally understood what it meant and looked really regretful. She left without saying anything. I thought that neither my daughter-in-law nor my son would come to my house again after that, but a few days later, my son and daughter-in-law came together. As soon as they arrived at my house, my son said,
About the inheritance, if it was given as a gift while he was alive, then I should get a share too.
I was amazed. I said, I'm sorry, but I don't intend to give your father's property to you, so please leave. My son was not satisfied and said angrily,
What are you talking about? It's my father's property, so I have the right to receive it too.
I showed my son and daughter-in-law the documents and my husband's bank book. Again, my son looked at the documents and said,
This must be a fake.
He said it in a bad mood, but I replied slowly and clearly, It's real. My son's expression changed to one of surprise. Your father didn't forgive you or your wife. That's why he arranged it so that only your sister and I would receive the inheritance while he was alive. I want to protect your father's feelings. So give up. I said calmly. My son and daughter-in-law looked regretful again, and my daughter, who was next to me, said,
I'm sorry for you, sister-in-law. You're done here, right? Please leave. And my brother, don't come to this house again. We're disowning you.
They spat out these words and left immediately. I've already disowned my son and daughter-in-law, and I won't see them again. Oh, by the way, my son called me later to apologize. He said,
I'm sorry for everything. I apologize. Please give us a share of the inheritance. We have 2 children, and life is pretty tough.
I thought that they had another child, but I said, I don't know. You'll have to figure it out yourselves. And hung up the phone. They had ignored me and treated me badly until now, so it was only natural. I don't care what happens to my son and daughter-in-law anymore. It's their own fault, and as long as they cling to me for money, I won't respond. My daughter and I have been living happily and peacefully since then. I have to thank my husband again. Thank you.